Just hey, we're here. The VBG brief episode 2.
Big clap.
Fine to add
Wait, is
this
this
sound.
episode 3? Is this episode 3?
This 3?
This is episode 3.
You are
Episode 2.
lying.
All right,
This
this is
is
the
3.
second episode that we've recorded to be announced if it's episode 2 or 3.
3.
We'll figure that out because we're recording the second one tonight. So we just this is episode 2 or 3 with Miss Toni Tupponce of A Sign of the Times. We gotta add the little. We gotta get the soundtrack in here. But Al's gonna kick us off and lead us here today because as our creative director, his first projects that he worked on was this legacy rebrand. So Al, take it away for us.
Yeah, we definitely need a soundboard. Somebody got to be in control. We need a soundboard or something with some preloaded sounds.
Yeah, definitely.
Do a little song. But yes, I am the Chief Creative Officer. Handle everything graphic design related, as we know from the first episode. We're here with Miss Toni from A Sign of the Times. And I just wanted to know a little bit about A Sign of the Times. What is A Sign of the Times? Who are they? What as a nonprofit, who are they?
So, A Sign of the Times, as you said, is a nonprofit organization here in Charlotte. And our mission is to preserve the legacy of the African diaspora through music, through dance, and through spoken word. The organization was founded by my husband, Tyrone Jefferson, who is a composer and musician. He's a trombone player of some world renown. And he wanted to do something when he moved back home and had started a band. He wanted to do something to allow us to get out into the community and use our music and our craft to share information about our culture and our history with the community at large, primarily.
Okay, so it's the music, using the gifts and talents that you have to also share the history behind the culture and everything.
That's right.
Can we say that A Sign of the Times is one of our clients? Miss Toni?
Yes,
yeah. Don't forget about that.
Our longest standing client, actually.
We've been part of
That's true.
Of this family for almost 3 years.
Yay. We have a clapping effect, you know.
I'm telling you, soundboy. I'm telling you.
I think it's longer. Yeah, around 2021, 2022 is when. Yeah. So around 3 years. But yeah, that
we've shifted a little bit, and so I'm thinking of the period of time that we've really worked more closely together, and not you guys were in the background, and now you've kind of moved towards the forefront.
Yeah.
And so it's been pretty cool.
Yeah, it has. It's been definitely a journey.
This was
Tyrone was here.
But one of my highlights with The Sign of the Times is going to the governor's mansion. I think it was like 2 years ago.
Is that still on our Instagram? Is that our Instagram page? Is that still on there?
We'll post it. It's on their Instagram. But that was one of the coolest things.
That should be the thumbnail for this podcast.
Yeah. The governor's mansion. Yeah, that was such a cool experience because Roy Cooper is probably my favorite governor in North Carolina history, mainly because he went to high school with my mom.
Not the politics.
Yeah. Yeah, so I got a chance to walk up to Governor Cooper and hey, my mom says, hey. He's like, well, tell your mom I said, hey, you remembered and everything. That was pretty dope. And it was a beautiful experience too. Tyrone and Toni are just natural, gifted performers. So when they get when they get in front of a mic, they just it's a whole nother thing. So I'm super grateful for that experience. That'll be one I remember for a while.
Yeah,
the intro of this podcast should be. Go ahead, Miss Toni. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
I was gonna say the intro of the podcast should be Tyrone at the government mansion playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I wanted to get into at what point did A Sign of the Times feel like, hey, we need a fresh look, especially during the rebrand? What kind of led you to that decision?
Well, it was part of a broader conversation around marketing and around getting our message out to younger people, because our demographic is really between about 55 and 85,
Okay.
And we realized that as a nonprofit, we wanted to survive long after we're gone. Because for me, what was the point in starting it if it was just for a little while? But to do that, then we've got to reach out to younger people. We've got to not lose the people that we have. So we don't want to throw the baby out with the old person out with the bathwater.
Right.
But we also wanted to do things that would attract a younger audience to us. So we started talking about what kinds of things can we do to our brand to kind of pick it up a bit, make it a little more enlivened, but at the same time, not lose those core things that make sure people understand who we are and what is at our.
I'm gonna piggyback on the core thing because yes, you want a more modern look to capture the younger audience, but also keeping that rock, that solid that started the whole thing, that everybody's around. I want to talk about the Ankh. The Ankh and the logo is the main, that's the star. That is everything. Everything else around it is the extra. The Ankh is the main thing. A little bit about the Ankh. I wanted to know about it because I haven't done complete research on it, but what does it represent specifically?
Well, the Ankh is a symbol of life. And it is, if you look at an Ankh, say straight out of Egypt, it really represents life. And in such, or as such, the Ankh represents the fallopian tubes. It is that point of life. And if you look at a picture of a female anatomy and place the Ankh on it, on top of it, you'd see that, right? So the Egyptians recognized that life comes through the woman. And so we wanted to make sure, Tyrone, I can't take credit for that. This was his brilliance of wanting to do that. To make sure that when you're talking about our history, you also understand that our history is deep into Kemet, what we think of today as Egypt, but that it's rooted there. So anything, I don't care whether you're talking about Malcolm X or Martin Luther King or Rosa Parks or Fannie Lou Hamer, you keep digging, what came before? Well, what came before that? Well, what came before that? So he wanted to go as far back as he could. And we started with the woman, right?
Okay.
Think about it.
That's all.
The oldest archive that we have found of a human is an African woman. So if that's
Really?
your foundation, then everything's got to come out of that. And so that's where that comes from. And then and I'm not sure whether because that's a little bit before my time, literally probably by months. But when you look at the picture of the Ankh that we have, it's a bit distorted. And we recognize that because we also wanted to put the name in the visual of the Ankh, which elongated a little bit, and then put the instruments, make the points of the Ankh relate to the instruments. So yeah, we're about history and we're using our music to tell those stories. So that's the visual. I think I'm right that that's the intention of the visual.
And are those like some of the things that you mentioned, are those like the type of emotions or ideas you want people to like take away from when they see your brand and when they are there live when you're having your events? It's just like what specific emotions would you like to convey and for them to receive, and also how they view the nonprofit organization?
Well, yes and yes. The thing that we want to get through, no matter what kind of event we're doing, our flagship event was our annual Black History program. And that was always a themed event with our big band because we started with I think, 21-piece big band, primarily community based. But then we would bring in, not every year, but occasionally we would bring in nationally known acts or stars or celebrities, musicians, poets, dancers to be a part of our event based on whatever the theme was. So, for example, one year we had Abiodun Oyewole, who was one of the founders of the Last Poets. And he's a friend of Tyrone's. He was a part of one of his earlier music compilations, his album. called Connections. So we've had the Impressions one year. So it just depends on what the theme is. But regardless, we're telling stories about our history or about our culture. So sometimes we're digging in. One year we dug into Carter G. Woodson, and now, of course, the name of the book is leaving me. It'll come back to me. Looking at and discussing through music the idea that our brains are sometimes chained, enslaved, right? So our story that year through the music was letting go of the chains, breaking the chains, and freeing our minds to accept our greatness and our story and to build on that. So again, it just depends on what the theme is. The name of the book was The Miseducation of the Child.
Okay.
Oh, and I think his book was called The Miseducation of the Negro. I think that's Carter G. Woodson's book. And our event was called The Miseducation of the Child. So our goal through our music was to break the chains off of the brain, right? So even if we're doing a small event, if Todd were to break down and look at all the music that we shared, for example, even at the governor's mansion, I had the mic, so I took a few opportunities to talk about who built this house.
Mhm.
Why would I not?
Yeah.
I'm in this house and I'm grateful to be in this house, but I'm supposed to be in this house because my ancestors built this house physically. So we tell those stories whenever and wherever we can because they're getting forgotten and the truth is they're being erased. And we want no part of that.
That's why during the rebranding process, I knew to make sure to make it the main attraction, like the main thing that your eye is drawn to.
Exactly. And a lot of people don't recognize it. Again, this is where our history is often lost. So I know there are people who have looked at that and thought it was a cross.
Yeah.
I have looked at it, thought it was a cross, not gonna lie.
And
Yeah.
we are not a religious organization.
Yeah.
We don't have any problem with religion. I'm certainly a part of a religious organization, but
There it is. There it is. Okay, yep. Yeah. Or wait, can we see the before and after? Or is that like editing? I'm putting Tyler.
That's editing. That's editing. That's editing.
That's like 30 minutes of editing, man. Like, all right. No, we can absolutely show before and after. That's actually
Yeah. I really want to see I really want to hear Miss Toni idea of like who made this first logo and like how you guys got to put it together. And then I'll make the second one with a lot of different ways of looking at it, different ways we can put it. But yeah, when I saw like the first one, I was kind of like, I did see the cross. The first thing I saw was a cross, and I was like, wait, I had to look closer and be like, oh, there's instruments and this, and so I started getting the picture of it more. I think like one thing about the logo, I think people might overlook is that, and something like Al did to kind of like make it more shown is the before logo. I feel like people can like walking past can be like, oh, this is just a cross, but people don't like. I think like there's a certain amount of people that are that's gonna be looking at the logo deeper, and those people are the people that like I feel like is gonna ask the questions that you are answering right now about the history. Because when you look at it deeper, you have a lot more questions than what you just see, like just superficially when you're not really looking. So you have to like actually want to. I feel like you get this a lot. You actually want to get to know you guys as a musician, because not just only you guys playing this music, but the stories, the life, like the experience behind all this music. And so I think that's very important. And so I remember when I first saw this logo, I was like, man, we gotta change it up. And then I heard you guys' story and what makes it so much important. I was like, wait, we can't lose that. And so it's very important to like actually know the value behind the organization. I think sometimes like a lot of Ty calls this being cultured. That's what I'm putting it as, being cultured. And so that's one thing that like as family, as you part of VBG family, like being part of the family is understanding each other. And so it takes a lot more than just saying, oh, let's just change it up because it looks good, and losing all the value. I think Al did a great job keeping all the value and all the experience with that logo and his story. And so I don't know if Todd's gonna share it before, but
Yeah, so kind of showing a little bit of this now. This was what we've used in the past. And we didn't, the Ankh hadn't been well, we didn't utilize it as much, right? Because it's a lot of like coaching and teaching of the audience, like what is the Ankh? And we hadn't done that in the past. So this is kind of what we've used, the kind of just the script writing, the sign of the times of the Carolinas, preserving the legacy. That's been kind of the main figurehead. The Ankh had been lost for quite some time from the organizational perspective, where we weren't utilizing it, and it wasn't in a sense of like, hey, we didn't want to, it's we didn't know to utilize it. And then now this has kind of presented an opportunity with the rebrand to kind of do some education to even some of the board members being able to say, this is what this means, this is what it means to the organization in itself. And that's been a really cool opportunity, because we like to say culture moves really fast, right? And so if culture's moving really fast, you have to kind of chase those trends, right? That's kind of a thing within marketing. But for us, we don't want to chase the trends, right? We want to kind of be a part of building real strategy, telling real stories, and really getting a chance to include the Ankh in a sharper way as well, with a new text, new background, and hopefully we'll be breaking out the new website soon. But we got a couple things to get to that point. But that'll be something we're really excited about, and that's the reason we really love working with the Sign of the Times, is because they trust us. They let us, like, a little bit of conversation here and there of what we need to do and how we need to do it, but ultimately we want to take care of them. We try to.
Yeah, that's all the questions I had for this episode. Is a good chance for everybody to get to know Sign of the Times on a deeper level than what's on the surface. I appreciate Miss Toni being here with us, sharing everything she has.
Before we wrap, Miss Toni,
thanks for having me.
Tell the people how they can support a Sign of the Times and the work that you guys are doing.
We're gonna put a banner on the,
Get Todd all kind of work to do.
Hey, that's all I heard. That's what I heard.
This will be out. We'll be able to see this on our website as well, or on our Facebook page as well, and our website ultimately.
Yes, ma'am. We'll link it.
Great.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I appreciate it. Appreciate you guys.
How can people support you guys? Whether it's coming to a concert, next event, what's next for Sign of the Times?
Well, we've started our Straight Ahead Jazz series that occurs on the fourth Sunday of the month at 4:00 at the Arts Factory here in Charlotte on West Trade Street. And that's an opportunity for us to do a couple of things, to give a concert that's very affordable, as well as invite some of our musician friends or folks who are wanting to break into into jazz in the community to come up on our second half and play, sit in or sing. I'm encouraging folks who speak to me about it to prepare something that is straight ahead jazz and kind of get out of their comfort zone, because oftentimes people come in and they want to R&B or a gospel tune or something, and that's cool because I love doing all of it. But straight ahead jazz, it's not always comfortable, but it's a great place. I hope we present a place to comfortably and safely try your try your wings a little bit at straight ahead jazz. So I encourage people to come out and do that. And we may be going down to Charleston next month to do something at Mother Emanuel in memorial to the massacre that happened there a few years ago. And that's a great honor if that works out. I'm working on that right now, as a matter of fact. So I'm real excited and thrilled about that. I mean, that's right up there with playing for the governor for me.
Whoa.
It's right up there.
Let's do it.
That's good. That'd be big. That'll be a really important.
Yeah, that's hollowed space, man. That's hollowed space at Mother Emanuel. So to get to do that and have all those spirits around us that passed away that night, that's going to be over the moon.
Thank you so much, Miss Toni. We really appreciate you joining us.
Thank you for having me. And even though the boss wasn't here,
yeah, man, Tyrone's a famous man. I had a
yeah,
lot of
y'all
questions
gotta
for
get
him, man. He's a famous dude.
We'll get a sit down with
help.
Wells and Tyrone later.
We'll bring him back.
Well, hey,
All
thank
right,
y'all for
y'all.
listening.
Deuces.